get started. Okay. We're going to call to order the Town of Bay Harbor Islands quasi-judicial public hearing on October 13th at 7:04 p.m. First, we're going to have the Pledge of Allegiance. If I can have Yosef, you come on up. Everybody rise, please, for the pledge. You're up.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Great.
Just a sec.
Stay right there. I'm just going to say a few words. This is Yosef, it's Nahon? He's 16 years old, resident of Bay Harbor Islands, attends Heber Academy, currently in the 10th grade, and you're the oldest of 4 siblings. How's that?
It's kind of like a nice responsibility to put on your shoulders, taking care of the younger siblings, trying to be like a little head of them all, telling them what they're chores to do.
Boss, that's good. All right, and last month you were inducted into the school's Honor Society, and it says that you also enjoy working in the school library, and you have hundreds of community service hours, and also working in the synagogue over the weekends, and you enjoy working with computers and PowerPoint presentations. So thank you so much for honoring us with reciting the Pledge of Allegiance. Thank you. And we're going to take a picture, okay? Sure. Thanks so much.
3, 1, 2, and 3. One more. And 3.
Great. Thanks again, okay? And good luck. Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Councilmember Yaffe?
Here.
Councilmember Salver? Not here. Councilmember Reed? Here. Councilmember Morano? Here. Councilmember Fuller?
Here.
Vice Mayor Bruder? Here. Mayor Leonard?
Here.
We have a quorum.
Great. We're going to start off with item 1, public comment, please.
With respect to an application for rezoning of the property relocated at 9601 East Bay Harbor Drive, lots 35, 36, and 37 of Block 4 as a planned unit development, PUD zoning overlay, the applicant Bay Harbor Hotel LLC has gone through the review process with staff and planning and zoning board where the project was approved, subject to town council approval. The application consists of a 7-story building with 99-unit hotel, 6 floors of hotel rooms, over 1 floor of common area, and pedestrian promenade.
Mayor, excuse me, can I ask anyone who's going to testify, since it's a quasi-judicial proceeding, to raise your right hand, and do you swear to tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth shall help you God? Thank you.
All right, so public comment. We have Mrs. Newhart.
Before I begin, can I ask if this is going to be 4 or 5 votes to be approved?
That's council.
4, and why is that?
Because it doesn't require a supermajority.
Even though it says on our code that with a public hearing of a council, you need 5 to 7.
No, but that's not correct. It's 4 votes.
All right.
But that's for variance.
You have your
Okay, I'm going to begin now.
All right, your name and address, please, for the record.
Francis Newhut, 1060 Kane Concourse.
Great.
It is unfortunate that this new owner of 9601 East Bay Harbor Drive had spent $12 million for this particular land, when for many years the original owner was allowed by the town to remain an eyesore building that did not compensate property owners in close proximity, that suffered from both depreciation and loss of their properties. Just because this new 7-story building with a 99-unit hotel is in the same location, 9601 East Bay Harbor Drive, why is the council possibly allowing this new owner 21 off-street parking spaces? on the town's busiest intersection with 22 TDRs. On November 14, 2011, Council approved at 9601 East Bay Harbor Drive, different owner, different development site plan, 4-story building, 54-unit hotel, a transient usage, no TDRs, and 21 off-street parking, with town residents complaining of traffic congestion, noise, overcrowdedness in the municipal parking lots across the street where there exist 3 restaurants, and in residential parking spaces in close proximity. Also, the town's parking garage at that time was too far, over 500 feet for this project. July 28, 2015, Town Planner DRC meeting stated, and I quote, "There will not be enough parking spaces provided on the site to meet the code requirement of 60 parking spaces." Therefore, I agree with one of our council members, that's of course not here tonight, that they chose to build first a beautiful hotel in Surfside, and then came to Bay Harbor Island to dump on Bay Harbor Island residents an inferior product. Please deny this request for the 99 hotel rooms with 22 TDRs and 21 parking spaces that don't really belong to them. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Victor Maya, please.
Victor Maya, 1155 103rd Street. Just have a couple of comments. In looking at the traffic study that was done for this project way back when, the traffic study really didn't take into account all of the higher density projects that were coming online. They were all looking back in the numbers, and they did not look at, what was coming. They didn't even consider the traffic impact of the other hotel on the other end of Kane Concourse that was coming in also. So, the traffic study, I believe, is flawed. Whether there is a room or need for the hotel, it's fine, but I would caution, I saw that there is a provision in there, one of the conditions in the agreement to allow the group to come back to council if they want to convert any of these rooms into condominiums. There's nothing in there with respect to, I just think it's kind of dangerous. I think that they should be allowed to have a hotel and that's it. Without any rooms to convert without any room, no pun intended, to convert any of the units into a condominium or timeshares or anything else, that you approve a hotel, you approve it for a hotel in the traditional sense that we have a hotel. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next comment. We have, sorry, Mr. Maz.
M-A-N.
M-A-N.
A?
Frederick? Yeah, Frederick, sorry.
I was just a gentleman who doesn't speak well English, and he asked me if I could translate when he's speaking English.
Of course.
The young lady asked me.
Of course. Yeah, come on up.
And his ballot is on his name is Paul Vigor.
Oh, okay. Just state his name and address for the record, please.
My name is Pud Ph. I have a hair salon in
1013 Kane Concourse, Bay Harbor, Florida.
Thank you.
You're very welcome.
It's difficult for me to speak. And en français, on va le traduire. Oui, je pense qu'il faut une activité un peu plus importante sur le bas de la Kane Concourse.
So he thinks that we should have a more important activity on the start of the King Concourse.
Et en particulier pour nous, les petits commerces comme le coiffure, les salons de coiffure ou les autres petites boutiques du coin.
In particular for small business owners like myself, a small hair salon, but also small business owners.
Et une activité de gens qui viennent et qui partent vont nous amener des personnes nouvelles vont...
An activity of person that come in and leave will bring a new flow of people to our store.
Et pour nous, une rentabilité meilleure, bien sûr.
And for us, higher rentability in our business.
Thank you.
Merci.
What did he say?
Okay.
For the record.
So this one is I'm sorry, Maza, I'm sorry, we're going to go to the next one and then have staff try to find that person. John Lahori.
He's still at synagogue, he's still praying.
Okay, not yet, okay. Okay, Daniel Holder. All right.
Good evening. My name is Daniel Holder, 24 Balvay Drive, Apartment E, Bal Harbor, Florida. We live directly across from the property. In the past, when the property was under Johnson & Wales, it was a terrible noise nuisance, to the extent that when they were having their parties, etc., the glasses would literally be shaking in the shelves in our apartment. We talked to the new owners, and they have agreed that we should not be hearing their music over at our property. We're very happy about that. They seem to be very cooperative, and we think that we'll be able to work things out very nicely with them, but I want you to be aware of that. As far as the height of the building, we would much rather see the skyline than the 7-story building, but we understand what happens there. We like the old plan better in that respect, but we think the new owners are trying to fit into the community, and we're looking forward to what we hope will be a good relationship.
Thank you for your comments. Please state for the record that Councilmember Isaac Salver is not here. Thanks.
Yes.
All right. Next we have Kathleen Kennedy.
Good afternoon, Council. My name is Kathleen Kennedy. I'm at 9721 East Bay Harbor Drive. And as somebody that's in the hotel, has worked for 25 years in the hotel industry, am I allowed to ask a question, Mr. Mayor?
This is public comment, so...
Public comment. I'd like to know what the check-in time it's okay. What the check-in time is for guests to check into this gentleman's hotel. It's usually 3 o'clock when our kids are coming home from school, coming out of school. So we're going to have traffic, poor kids crossing the street, the volunteers or the lovely people that help the kids across the street, chaos on that intersection. Please, you all have children. You know, this gentleman doesn't even want to give the citizens a glass of wine or a cappuccino in his restaurant. Let him reduce the amount of rooms. Why do we have to put up with this? It's his way or the highway. You can't allow this. Our children are very important. And the check-in time in any hotel, and you all look like you traveled to me. None of you look like you're poor up there. The check-in time is at 3 o'clock. Check-out time is at 12. So please think of what's going on, that we don't need chaos on that corner. Okay? You're going to hear a whole lot of stuff over here. Don't listen to it. It's salesman stuff. I have opened up hotels for Merv Griffin. I'm on the record. When we wanted to go in front of Nees and Kasdan and Dormer, we gave them all kinds of spiels, so just listen, because it created chaos on Ocean Drive. Hello? Bye.
All right. Next, we have... Who do we have next? Yeah. I'm sorry. Oh, Paul Basil. Come on now.
It's never easy to follow Kathleen Kennedy. Paul Basil, 9240 West Bay Harbor Drive. I've lived on the island for 10 years, and I think since 2008 we've had a falling apart hotel and a dirt pile, and it was kind of embarrassing to drive into Bay Harbor and see an ugly lot. And I think a lot of people that I've spoken to are happy that we're going to get a new hotel that's not a generic cinder block. It looks like a bunker. This hotel looks beautiful. And also a lot of people in town are very happy that they may be able to walk to get a drink. We would want to be able to walk and use the restaurant, and we're excited about the hotel. And then the last thing I was going to say was, I'm ignorant to traffic studies, but that hotel seems like it's going to be people that will take Uber, walk to the beach. I don't think they're going to have lots and lots of cars. They're going to be people that fly into town, enjoy our town, and then leave. The last thing I think, instead of people trying to obstruct everything, like Kathleen Kennedy said, the real problem with traffic is the school. Twice a day, we're gridlocked. I don't think this hotel is going to cause much of an impact. I think the benefit far outweighs any possible negative, and study the school traffic patterns. That's the big concern. Thank you, and hopefully we'll have a nice new addition to the town.
Thank you for your comments. Next, we have John Lahori. Last chance.
No, I don't think he's
Not here. Okay.
Council?
Well,
Can I also ask, this gentleman, Mr. Robert Bassam, who's...
you need to bring it up to Bridget. So,
But is he here?
okay.
No, he's not here.
Well, this is an opportunity to speak, so.
Oh, John Lenny is here, actually. He just got
Okay. Okay, you're up. John Lahori? You're up.
Hello.
Hi, name and address for the record, please.
John Slaney, 9250 West Bay Harbor Drive, apartment 3A, Bay Harbor Island.
Yeah?
Yes.
This is your chance to speak.
About, about the hotel.
Yes?
So, sorry, I just came from the hospital, so, still. Now me, as a resident of Bay Harbor Island, for a hotel in the neighborhood, first to bring more life to our community, and for the businesses here around as well, in the street. And I don't see why it should be something bad for the neighborhood.
All right, is that all?
Yes.
Thank you for your comments.
Thank you.
All right, we have, okay, Mr. Eliev? All right, name and address, please.
Hi, good evening. My name is Igal Eliab. I live in 9240 Byron, and I have my office 9630 East Bay Harbor Drive, actually across the street of the hotel. Personally, I have a broker license, and I'm a manager license as well, CAM license. I manage the waves, and we had a lot of experience with the construction next door. There is a Grand Beach Hotel, the same development. My opinion about this project is, I always see a development the way the business is going to grow for the city. It's not only about what is going to happen, what impact. As long as the impact is positive, I think that you guys should consider of basically what's going to be the end of this product. As you can see, I also manage stores on Harding Avenue, and I own stores in Harding Avenue. And after the project that we have done in the hotel next door, the tourist community, they came to Harding Street project, the value of the properties and the rent of the property went up like crazy. Not only because the whole block changed, because a lot of tourists start coming to the area, and there is more business for Harding. And I think you guys should consider very well, because of this street, basically 96th Street, I think that the 96th Street needs a little bit of lift. And the way they're going to lift it is with bringing people in the community. 99 rooms or 98 rooms, I don't know exactly how many rooms, is not going to affect the community. Actually, you need it. The only hotel you have in the area is the Daddy O, I don't know exactly the name, and that's not a real hotel. It's like a boutique.
Excuse me.
So, my opinion is that you should consider strongly to approve this project. because I think it's better for everybody here, for Surfside, Bar Harbor, the harbor, to everybody. The traffic is nothing. We live in Surfside, and we see every day the traffic of the hotel. I actually spent some time in the hotel, and I know exactly how the traffic is run. I don't think there's an effect whatsoever. So basically I came here to talk because I invest money from Argentina, and I invest my own money too, and I want this community to grow. And the way it's going to grow, if you guys consider approving this project. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your comments. Next, we have Robert, what's that? Bassan. Bassan?
Can I read his letter, or?
You have the letter? Yeah, the Vice Mayor will read the letter, so enter into the record.
To whom it may concern, our company, Taro International, has been based in Bay Harbor for the past 15 years as a name brand fragrance and cosmetic distributor. Our company employs over 30 employees and entertains clients and suppliers from throughout Europe and Caribbean and in Mexico throughout the year. One of the biggest challenges we face in local quality hotel properties with enough rooms at reasonable rates for our suppliers and clients. We truly believe that the Grand Beach Hotel would be a perfect fit for the area. As property owners on King Concourse, we also believe that such a hotel property would help generate the proper flow of visitors to help the needs support for the retail and restaurant establishments on the island. Best regards, Robert Bassan, President.
Okay. All right. And last we have Dennis Newhut.
Hi, good evening. Dennis Newhut, 1060 King Concourse, and a few other properties. The concept of a new hotel is very attractive. However, we have limited parking. Daddy-O's is really struggling because they don't have enough parking. A 99-room hotel, unless they put more parking on their own property, will really strain the town. I mean, if you look, we have an acute parking situation. Speak to any of the restaurants on that side of the street or other adjacent properties. Therefore, I do know, I have spoken to the owners of this hotel on a couple of unrelated properties, and I feel that this is too large for that particular area unless they make some accommodation, like underground parking or etc. So at this time, I don't think we can really handle something like that. Thank you.
All right. Without any more public comment, we're going to close public comment, and we're going to go to item number 2. Mr. Manager?
Approval or denial of the above rezoning application by consideration on first reading of proposed ordinance granting approval of a planned unit development with the property located at 9601 East Bay Harbor Drive.
An ordinance of the Town of Bay Harbor, Islands, Florida, granting approval of planning unit development PUD on certain described properties located at 9601 East Bay Harbor Drive, determining that the PUD application complies with the purpose and intent of the PUD ordinance, making findings regarding the approval of the PUD application, directing the town manager to the appropriate notation on the official zoning map, providing for severability and providing for an effective date.
Okay, can I have a motion for discussion?
I'll move it.
And a second?
Second.
Okay, great. So we have a motion and a second. All right, first we're going to have the applicant come up.
Wait a minute, can I ask a question? Has this changed since we denied it the first time? Is it still 99 rooms? Because that's where we all denied it, because of 99 rooms. So why are we going through the motions
Well,
here?
why don't we hear the applicant and see why they asked to have it come back?
Okay.
So,
Good evening. My name is Joel Simmons. I represent Bay Harbor Hotel LLC, the owner of the property located at 9601 East Bay Harbor Drive. We appeared before you on September 16, 2015, seeking your approval for a 99-room upscale hotel with associated parking at the site on 9601 East Bay Harbor Drive. As at the last meeting, we have a number of the members of our team here. In case you would like to ask them any questions, we have John Carino, our architect of record, Mario Vieira, our general manager of construction, Frederick Mark, our designer, and also known as representative, Sarah Fiol of David Plummer and Associates is our traffic engineer,
Jean-Michel Kling is the general manager of our hotel in Surfside, and Steve Wernick of Akerman LLP is our attorney. The last meeting, to answer your question, was deferred with no decision having been reached by the council, and in the absence of a consensus direction from the council, what you see before you is the same set of plans as was presented last time. However, we've certainly taken on board the comments that were made, and our intention tonight is to propose some suggested modifications to make our project more compatible with the surrounding area, as well as to provide further information in an effort to allow the council members to become more comfortable with our proposal. Your concerns centred on trust, scale, the valet operation, traffic, generation, and the restaurant. You asked me at the last meeting why you should trust us to build this project. I explained the economic imperative that has led us to this point, but to give you some comfort that we are ready to build this scheme, please consider the following. Firstly, the application you see in front of you is only a fraction of the work that we've actually done. We've taken the unusual step of preparing full construction documents prior to your approval. We understand this is totally at our risk and is in no way a presumption. For this scheme, we have fully coordinated architectural, mechanical, electrical, plumbing, structural, landscape, civil, foundation and fire plans that we are ready to submit. Secondly, we intend to submit our foundation plan as a separate application at the same time as we submit our full construction documents. This will expedite our start while the master permit application is under review. We've already signed, thirdly, contracts and paid money towards the longest lead time items, including the wells, the elevator contract and sheet piling. We're ready to sign contracts for test piles, temporary power and foundations pending the outcome of this meeting. In total, beyond the process to get us here tonight, we've committed $2.34 million to this project and its construction, of which we've already spent over $1 million, $1.27 million in fact. This money is entirely at risk, solely to allow a fast start on site. Fourthly, we're already undertaking whatever work we can at this point. The landscape is cleared and stored at an off-site nursery. We're currently working on rebuilding our seawall, and FPL has already carried out work that we need in order to start the construction. All we need is for you to say yes, and we're ready to go. We also discussed the scale of the building at the last meeting. I mentioned at that time that the building's envelope is smaller than that which is permitted by the town, and we comply with the town setbacks, which were recently increased on the north side, and the height requirements. I thought it might be useful to elaborate on this a little, specifically relating to the position of our project at the entrance to Bay Harbour Islands. At the point where you arrive at our property line approaching from Bal Harbour or Surfside, our building will be over 65 feet away from the sidewalk. When you arrive parallel with our building, the required setback on Ken Concourse is 20 feet. At that point, we are 30 feet inside that setback, giving a distance of 50 feet from the sidewalk to our building. Per code, we could have made the building more than 22% bigger. This equates to over 24,000 square feet that we have left unbuilt. So the scale of the building is not only compatible with its surroundings, but we've voluntarily built considerably less than what's allowed. As for traffic generation, parking and servicing, let me start by saying we do understand the concerns that we've heard from the council and from the members of the public. As an operator, however, we know that our most recent project generates approximately 15% of the peak hour traffic that was predicted by the traffic report for that project, and only 20% of the overall traffic. We know this because we've counted the cars. These figures come from our analysis for the entire month of August, and beyond this, for the last 6 days we have watched the video footage of every car coming and going from the west building of our property as a check on the prior study. For those 6 days we saw an average of 102 guest movements per day with 92% occupancy. Scaled up for 99 rooms, this equates to 140 movements in total in and out. And that compares with the 809 that are predicted by the traffic report on a daily basis for Bay Harbour. I'm happy to provide the video if anybody actually wants to sit there and analyse the 6 days, but I wouldn't recommend it. The highest peak hour movements we saw during this period was 16 on 2 occasions. At Bay Harbour, that would equate to 22 movements in our busiest hour, or just under 3 per minute. And that's at 92% occupancy, which is extremely high. In Surfside, we saw the same concerns from our neighbours and town officials as we see here. They were also sceptical about whether the traffic report accurately reflected the picture of what the impact of our project would be. I'm pleased that tonight a business owner in Bay Harbour and also our neighbour at Surfside came along to say that we have not impacted them from a traffic perspective. And I can tell you he wouldn't be here if there had been anything like the traffic that everybody thought was going to occur in Surfside, and there's no reason why it should be any different here. As an operator, we also know that the valet operation can be staffed sufficiently so as not to create lines outside the property, and servicing can be organised in a way that avoids peak hours and does not impact traffic flows. The question is, of course, how can we convince you of what we know? Firstly, our traffic engineer hasn't previously spoken to this council, but I hope it may help if she gives you an explanation of some of the methodology behind the traffic study, and you're welcome to ask her any questions you have directly. Following that, if the council desires, and if it will put your minds at rest, then maybe there should be a peer review of the traffic report that has been prepared. If that does assist you, we're happy to pay for this, for it to be prepared between this meeting and, say, the next, to be paid for by us but commissioned by the town. Secondly, since the last meeting, we've looked again at the valet operation and servicing, and they've prepared operational plans, both of which will be fine-tuned once the hotel started operation. The traffic report states, if all patrons of the valet services, if all patrons use the valet services, 4 valet attendants will be able to handle the demand during PM peak hour at the valet drop-off pickup area with an average queue of approximately 3 vehicles or less. The proposed site drop-off pickup can accommodate approximately 4 vehicles in queue. This assumes 100% occupancy, 100% of guests bring cars, and only 4 vehicles can be stacked on the ramp. The reality is that 100% occupancy is rarely achieved, it's highly unusual, and also it's extremely unlikely to occur during the work or school week. Approximately 56% of our guests bring cars, not 100%, and we can stack 9 cars on the ramp. Nevertheless, our valet plan takes the recommendation of 4 valet staff as its starting point. We plan to have 4 valet staff both PM and AM. At peak times where occupancy goes above 50%, we've taken the precaution of adding 1 extra runner to accommodate guest cars that may need to be parked or retrieved from off-site locations. The valet plan specifically excludes the use of parking at the parking lot opposite our property, and all staff will park off-site as previously mentioned. Servicing will be arranged to avoid peak traffic times in the town, and the routes used to access the property and leave it will be carefully dictated. If the council feels more comfortable, we are happy for this plan to be reviewed with staff, and any ordinance can specify a minimum number of valet attendants based on this plan that could be subject to review by the town staff following, say, 3 months of operation. Thirdly, I'd like to talk about the amount of traffic that actually exists in the town. Over the last 3 years, I've driven through the town from the mainland almost every day between 8 and 8:30 a.m., and I leave at any time between 5:30 and 7 p.m. I often travel through the town at other times during the day, and over the last few weeks, I've regularly visited the town at times when the school finishes to see what problems exist at that time. My experience is the following. In the morning during the school times, the traffic approaching West Bay Harbour Drive from the mainland backs up, as I've shown in red here. But by the time you arrive at the junction of Cane Concourse with East Bay Harbour Drive, it flows freely. Once you leave Bay Harbour, it also backs up from Harding and towards the bridge going east, again shown by the red line. The morning is clearly the worst time of day, but it's also a time when there are very few movements amongst the guests of our hotel. I don't see problems driving through the town at other times of the day or at any time around the junction with East Bay Harbour Drive. I also don't see the other developments in the town creating an issue when taken as a whole. Bear in mind our traffic study does factor in growth. These developments are replacing existing buildings, and we're seeing a trend towards lower density than exists now, not higher. And finally, the upscale nature of many of these condo developments are likely to attract a number of owners who are not permanently resident in the town. So when we think about traffic generation, we have to consider a number of factors, including the traffic study, the real level of traffic that will be generated by a hotel of this size, the times at which that traffic will be generated, and where the traffic problems in the town exist, in order to decide if this hotel will have a negative impact. Possibly the most sensitive issue raised at the last meeting was the number of rooms. But how does one decide what number is acceptable and what number is too many? The largest factor affecting this judgment must be traffic generation. If 99 rooms are demonstrated not to cause an impact on either the traffic or the other services in the town, there shouldn't be a concern. So will noise and servicing be an issue? All of the hotels designed from the cooling towers to the swimming pools, from the restaurant to the music system, are located and designed to minimize noise emanating from the property. The restaurant operation is a simple one, with no hood in the kitchen. This will limit both the deliveries required and the garbage to be taken out. Importantly, a 54-room hotel with the same restaurant operation would require the same number of service trips as this proposed hotel with 99 rooms. Does the number of rooms create a building that is out of scale with its surroundings? The reality of zoning codes typically is that they become a ceiling for developers to push against. This property doesn't do that. Since the size of the building is inside the town's code, how can it be too large, and how can we say 99 rooms are too many to put inside that structure? These are not small rooms crammed into the space. They exceed your minimum standard by over 47%. So if traffic, noise, servicing, scale, parking and compliance with the town zoning code aren't an issue, what's left to say that 99 rooms are too many? The Monarch Hotel was recently approved at 96 rooms. It's greater in scale, has a greater traffic generation due to its restaurant operation, and is located at ground zero for the town's traffic issues. We didn't arrive at our number of rooms arbitrarily. It came from careful consideration of the hotel operation, the investment required, and most importantly, the impact on the town backed up by third-party reports. In fact, we scaled the proposed number of rooms back both during our initial design and following comments from staff. I respect the Council's position and experience, but please make sure your decision is not arbitrary. Base it in fairness and on the facts. Now, with everything I've said about our need to see 99 rooms, we have nevertheless worked on a plan to reduce the count to 96. We achieved this by the creation of a number of suites, while keeping the size and external appearance of the building the same. We feel this mix of rooms to suites is sustainable for our model, and it mirrors the room count of the hotel recently approved at the other end of the town. This does, of course, reduce the required parking count. However, if it makes the council more comfortable, I'd like to offer that we leave the number of spaces in the parking trust at 13, per the current set of plans. Further, under the prior permit, we were required to pay for 21 spaces in the trust. Again, if the council desires, I'm happy to also offer that we leave the number of spaces in the parking trust at 21. Finally, the restaurant was something of a hot-button item at the last meeting, which, as you know, we've opted to open to our hotel residents only. Ironically, we were trying to avoid the concerns of traffic generation that would be raised if it were open to the public. Please realise the potential traffic generation of a 54-room hotel with its restaurant open to the public would be far greater than a 99-room hotel with a restaurant just for guests. However, we're certainly willing as a solution to open our bar and maybe the restaurant to members of the public, but only those who walk up, on the assumption that the council can agree that this doesn't require a parking allocation. If we tie this into our willingness to keep the parking trust contribution at 21 spaces, I hope this may satisfy the arguments on both sides of the issue. But this is also something that will need the blessing of the Seascape, as it wasn't part of our original plan and the agreement we have with the Seascape. At this point, I'd like to invite Sarah Fiol of David Plummer and Associates to say a few words, after which I'd like to briefly conclude.
Good evening, this is Sarah Field with David Plummer and Associates, 1750 Ponce de Leon, Coral Gables, Florida. So I'm here to kind of explain to you guys how the traffic study was completed. It's completed based on professional standards and based on your comprehensive plan. We went ahead and we did counts earlier this year at the intersection. Once we take those counts, we grow them to the future, the build-out year of the project. And there is a growth rate that's applied. We went ahead and we applied that growth rate to achieve the future conditions of the intersection. We did some analysis, and the analysis concluded that where that intersection is within the level of service allowed by your comp plan. So, further, the previous study that was approved from 2011 follows the exact same methodology. So,
no, we're going to finish the presentation, then we'll have the council.
Sure. Okay.
So,
Thank you. A question for hotel.
yeah, after, we're going to...
We're here tonight, having taken your concerns on board, to offer suggestions as to how we might make changes to the project and give further information to try and alleviate your concerns. I hope that our actions speak louder than our words when it comes to demonstrating our willingness to construct this property. The building itself is significantly smaller than could be built. This demonstrates that our scheme is compatible and complementary with the surrounding area. It's a high-class scheme with generously sized rooms and amenities that is exactly what is needed for the town with no adverse impact. The reality is that the traffic generation will be far less than predicted in the traffic study. The town does have traffic issues, but not at the junction where the property is located. Service levels are maintained and not adversely affected by development. The majority of the traffic that ensues will occur at different times of the day to the currently experienced peaks, and therefore makes the development highly complementary. That said, we are happy to pay for a peer review of our traffic study commissioned by the town to help you gain extra comfort. We have a fully considered valet plan calling for more staff than is recommended in the traffic study. We are happy for this to be a condition of any ordinance, subject to review by the town staff, upwards or downwards, once operations commence. We not only offer a reduction in the number of keys, but an increase in the parking provision. Finally, we've offered to open the restaurant to walk-ups in an attempt to find compromise between those who want to see a facility open to the town and those who are concerned about traffic generation. We've received overwhelming support from everyone we speak to, both residents and businesses. We received signatures in favour from 32 businesses on Cane Concourse. Amongst others, Maurice Board kindly came to the last meeting and spoke in favour of the project. He told me that he sees this as the manifestation of his father's dream for the town. I hope that we have demonstrated that we are serious. This project is entirely compatible in all respects, allowing you to approve it tonight. Consistent with the recommendations from the DRC, your staff and the PZB. As you are aware, if you approve it, this will be the first of 2 required hearings, and any approval could be subject to a peer review of the traffic study. Thank you.
All right. We're going to start with comments from the council, starting with Vice Mayor.
I would like to speak to the lady who did the traffic study. Please. Hi, how are you? So, the gentleman had stated that you counted in August. When in August did you?
No. That was not the traffic study that we completed. Our counts were done in February.
February, and the gentleman, I think, stated...
that was not part of this study.
Did you not say that you did a count in August?
We counted at our hotel in Surfside. We do our own count. I'm not a traffic engineer, but I can tell you how many vehicles are coming and going through our property in Surfside.
Oh, okay. I thought you said okay. And the other thing is, you said that you took into consideration what is coming into our town. Did you take a look at all the buildings that are coming?
Yes, what is being done is that there's a growth factor that we apply. It's compounded per year. So if the existing counts were taken in 2015 and the projected year, we take a compounded factor per year, and it grows the counts.
And what was that?
It should be 1%.
So you believe that our town is going to grow
That's actually, yes.
1% per year when there's 22 new developments coming?
This percentage is based on data that's taken from FDOT, and the counts are located...
That's not what I'm asking you.
Right, we're going to... That percentage is actually 0.5%. The data shows a 0.5% growth factor. So that should have been the correctly applied factor. We went ahead and added an additional 0.5%. So we went above and beyond. And the reason for that is to account for that additional.
Thank you.
I have a question.
Go ahead. Yeah.
Regarding the statement that you just made about the growth factor, I think it sounded a little low to all of us, but since we're not talking about a permanent population, your population is a transient daily population. So how does that relate to residential areas? How does that count? Well, if you're saying that the growth in our residents will be 1%?
The growth is based on traffic counts that were collected by FDOT at locations within your town. So we have access to data that FDOT collects at roadways within your town.
So you're saying that's the residential component for the new development?
Within the area,
right?
yes,
Okay.
it's area specific.
Thank you.
I think the question is, when you're saying the FDOT data, which intersections are they specifically looking at?
It's in areas.
Okay, so I'm assuming they're probably looking at King Concourse, because that's actually a state road. Okay. All right, we're going to go...
Excuse me, it's based on trends, like data trends.
I understand.
But I don't think they took into fact that there's an 86-room down the street, and then Talbers is very large also. So, we have some big projects coming in on that one street alone, and that's not being factored into any of this traffic.
Yeah, this is the wrong data to look at.
Okay, any other comments? Yes, Bob.
I'm not a traffic engineer, of course, and I've heard some, expressions of skepticism about this particular traffic study. But on the other hand, the applicant did offer to pay for a separate traffic study, which would be contracted for by the town. And so it would be an independent traffic study done by the town to compare...
It wasn't, just to correct what they said, it's an audit of their traffic.
Instead of peer review.
By peer review, excuse me, a peer review. Well, thank you for the correction, but a review by another expert of this particular traffic study, which would give us a bit more data, to consider. And also, in that peer review, I would ask that if we were to go forward with that, to focus on the areas of concern of the council, looking at future growth and the types of projects that, you all have, have identified, which will be coming online, particularly the larger projects, and the traffic on East Bay Harbor Drive, which of course is not a state road, and how that would factor in. So it's something that I, would be in favor of if we're going to consider this, having that peer review done.
Josh?
No, I agree with him. I think I'd like to have the peer review done. My thought, quite honestly, is I think you did look at the wrong data. The problem is, I know you were looking at statistics. Again, same thing as Bob said. I'm not a traffic expert. I have to rely on your reports. But I do get a chance, obviously, to take a look and see where you got, to the end result of your report. And I don't like the first couple pieces of data. We are undergoing a huge amount of building in this town, and looking at statistics that have historically shown a certain growth rate and so forth, they're all going to be skewed right now. They're not the appropriate numbers. That being said, again, I think the audit's a good idea.
Just one quick second. Just understand that this is based on the methodology. So
No, I understand. Again, that's sweet. That's the purpose.
Yeah, I mean, we
This-
understand, but
this
there's...
professional standard methodology.
No, and we understand
Would
that. I think where the consensus is, and, you know, and I don't want to speak for everybody, but I think the consensus is to have a little bit more in-depth specifically to this project. And the reason why, you have to understand some facts about our town. You know, one thing that may not have come up in your study, because, you know, this is not relevant to FDOT, is that, you know, that's one of the most highly trafficked turns out of the two. I would say the top two happen to be, you know, heading east on King Concourse and turning right on West Bay Harbor Drive, and of course heading west and turning right on East Bay Harbor Drive, which is exactly where this property is. You know, you also have to factor in there is so many other individual things besides just building a building next to where maybe another building is. For example, just, you know, entertain me for a moment here. You may not be aware, but there, you know, when they mention the school, you know, the school is on the other side of King Concourse. Well, how do you think a lot of the kids who are driven from Surfside and other areas on the beach area, how they get to school? You know what they do is they actually turn on East Bay Harbor Drive and then turn left on 97th Street to get to Bay Harbor Terrace, and they turn left again because it's easier just to go straight. I know, because I'm guilty of the same thing, because I have one kid who goes to school south. I actually take one child down to South Beach, and then by the time I've done it myself. So I can tell you that, I mean, I see all these kids from Surfside that don't get walked. They get driven, and that's how they get to school. You know, I would be in favor of having a new study done that incorporates all these types of individual issues that the council has raised, because I think, you know, and it's, again, I'm not disrespecting your study. I understand completely that you use a standard methodology, but, you know, when you're dealing with a very, very small community and a very high traffic area, you have to understand that for years I've been hearing complaints from before I was ever on the council about that specific one block, because there's a little restaurant right across the street, and when they used to valet cars and they have 3 cars on the street, it would be chaos. And that's 3 cars with one restaurant. You're talking about a hotel. And I'm not saying that you know, the number of rooms is too much or too little. What I'm saying is I would be in favor of having a study that focuses on these issues. And if you did that, I'd like to see what that has to say.
We
Okay?
also need to understand the counts we're actually taking at this intersection. They're real counts. The traffic that is there currently.
I'm not
Those are the
denying
existing
that.
counts.
But I think the factor is the potential growth with that. And I think that if that's all subsumed into a new report, that the council can direct staff to pick a company to independently look at that. I think that
That was taken into consideration
Oh.
as part of the report.
it's just, well, you know, this is just my opinion, but if you want my support, I think that's where I stand. Isaac, you're the last person. I don't want to leave you out.
You know,
Sorry.
I would have liked to have seen a little bit more movement on behalf of the project, because I know I had mentioned that it's just one story too high. Just, I think if you cut out just like one story and the rooms that go with it, you know, you would have had me hook, line, and sinker. That being said, there are 2 things that are being said actually by the council that I'd like to clarify. You know, one of the things is Stephanie mentioned that there were 20 new projects. You know, in my opinion, even if we had 50 new projects, the base density of Bay Harbor has not changed. So with those 20 new projects that are going in, there were 20 old projects that were knocked down with small rooms and high density the same. So, you know, regarding, you know, the increase in population, I don't buy it, because we didn't change our base density, and our base density remains the same. And if one project has 60 units and another project has 14 units, you know, we're just moving density around is really what we're doing. So I don't think the population is going to change significantly. The other thing is I'm not worried really about traffic either, because school traffic is generated between the hours of 7:30 and 8:30. And just like Kathleen Kennedy said, check-in time for the hotel is after 3 p.m. So, you know, I don't really think those 2, you know, issues are my issues. I have other issues, but, those two issues are not issues. My issue is just, basically the height of the building and the number of rooms is just a little bit too much. But I think there were some clarifications, there was some movement, which I appreciate, so, I feel I gained a little bit of comfort with today's meeting.
Okay. Is there any other comments? Yeah, please.
Go ahead. I assume we're talking about more than just traffic at this point.
Yes.
Okay, so I had a question about the proposed ordinance. And the question is, why is there any provision at all for possible future timeshare or interval ownership? Why would that even be included in this ordinance?
I can speak to
Sure,
that.
would you?
Restriction. The fact of the matter is, if a future purchaser came in and tried to redevelop it, it would always come before you. I just wanted to make sure it was abundantly clear, and it was a covenant running with the land, no matter how our code changed or didn't change, that they would have to come before you to change that use, so that the council would have the final say.
I understand, and I appreciate that. Thank you for that explanation. But why not just put that there shall be no timeshare or interval ownership?
Because
Period.
you cannot limit their future ability under Florida statutes to build or propose something else in the future.
But if you're talking about redevelopment, I'm talking about this particular use. I mean, as long as this hotel is there.
Well, that's what we're trying to say, because they could always sell this property, and a purchaser could...
No, sure, they could sell the property and tear it down and build a condo or do something else.
They could convert it. They could absolutely, they have every right under Florida statutes to convert this.
Of course, if
I
they can
wanted
meet the
to make
parking
sure,
requirements and so forth.
I wanted to make sure that it's subject to you as well. And I included that in the Monarch as well, because and it was a suggestion originally by Stanley Price as well with the Monarch, just to make sure that while we could say no, it would not be lawful. The issue is it has to come back before you, and that's really the purpose of that.
I appreciate that explanation. Thank you.
I'd like to say something.
I'm sorry.
Question, actually, if I can bring up, Christine from the Seascape, I can ask you a question, because
Put you on the spot here.
I'm not going to put you on the spot like that. So the only question is, it was brought up a few moments ago during the presentation as far as what your thoughts would be, and obviously you don't have to give me an answer now, but if you feel like you want to, feel free, as far as the proposed changes to the accessibility of the restaurant/bar.
Joel, would you be kind enough to restate the modification that you have brought up?
Yes, what I was suggesting, and Christine, I apologise that this may come out of left field, which is certainly why I said that it needs the approval of the Seascape, because it is not part of the agreement that we have between us. But the proposal would be that the bar and possibly the restaurant, and bear in mind this is a bar that has 4 seats on it, and it's a restaurant that has approximately 12 tables in it. It's a limited food operation, is that there would be access to people who walk up to the property, so that it does not create any additional traffic.
I don't see how you can limit it to walk-up. I mean, if somebody walks up and they say, we're just here for a drink, how do you have any assurances of that, and do you have the right to question people as to whether they have a car or whether they're just on foot?
Well, we would know if somebody arrives with a car, and if they're checking into the hotel, then they're going to be a registered guest of the hotel.
So you would be questioning people as they walk up? I mean, you're not familiar with all of your guests. So you'd be asking each and every one?
Are you a guest of the hotel? Are you checking in?
Well, I think
it's fairly typical.
I think that's going to be very difficult to monitor.
It's fairly typical procedure in any event to establish whether people are staying just for a temporary period of time or whether they're an overnight guest.
Let me interrupt 1 second. Yeah, just 1 thing. Because we are talking about overlooking. So here's the thing. See, providing those modifications. My statement from last time and again this time is that, I don't want to necessarily prevent, as long as it's okay with the neighbors, I don't want to prevent, let's say, Christine, let's say you and your husband decide you want to just walk over and get a cup of coffee. Their original plan was that You can't do it. Unless you are a guest, you can't walk over and have a cup of coffee. You have a friend in from out of town or from somewhere else, or a friend from Surfside meeting over for a cup of coffee, you couldn't do it. I want them to be able to be allowed, if it's okay with you as neighbors, to be able to sit down and have a cup of coffee. Now, my understanding would be, we're not trying to make, and we do not want a full restaurant. If you're doing a limited service where essentially it's a couple of like snacks and a bar, I personally would not have a problem with you not limiting it specifically to the hotel guests, not turning it into a full restaurant though. That's what I'm trying to understand, is what your position is going to be for that possibility.
Well,
That's what he's advocating.
frankly, I'm one person out of a board of 5
Right.
and a association of 12. So I really wouldn't be able to comment on that at this juncture.
Okay.
I would be happy to, convene with my people and find out what their thoughts are on that, and perhaps render that opinion at the next meeting. But right now, I can't really
I
comment.
appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah, I think, it's first reading. If it passes on first reading, you'll have an opportunity to come back at second reading. So, nothing's done in stone. It gives you an opportunity to speak with the applicant. So, Ms. Morano?
Yeah, my biggest problem with this,
In addition, I'm sorry to interrupt. However, if we're going to have a situation where it's going to be open to the public, that's going to change or potentially change the parking requirements and the parking spaces. Sorry. To the extent we allow it to be open to the public and there will be parties who will drive up there, we will have to have a discussion with regard to the actual amount required to be purchased in the parking trust, because it will have more parking requirements as a result.
But if it was limited,
I thought Joel was saying that if I were to drive up on the ramp in my car, of course, and say, I'm here to go have a drink in the bar, whoever was greeting me at my car would ask if I were staying at the hotel, and if I said no, then you wouldn't permit me to leave my car. Is that correct?
That's correct.
I mean, it's one thing to be questioned when you're walking up, but if you're driving up and you're not a hotel guest, then presumably
Yeah, then
you're not going to
I'll have to add that as a condition.
Right. He asked us to waive the other parking part.
That there shall be no parking to any non-registered guest.
Right, because he was talking about 4 seats at the bar and a couple tables. I mean, that's the extent of it.
But what about, to add on to that, what about all the people that are going to see what a sweet spot it is, and they're going to drive, they're not going to drive up to the ramp, they're going to go into our parking and take away parking from the other restaurants on Kane Concourse, and there's no way to monitor that, just like I think the people at the Seascape know, because you always see limousines parked in their guest parking out front, and they live right there, so, I just don't see how that's even possible.
And as they learn of the other restaurants up and down King Concourse, and decide it's a better place to visit and start providing business up and down King Concourse, I don't have a problem with that.
You know what, they'll be driving around for 10 minutes looking for parking, they'll see all of our businesses, they'll have like the full repertoire.
Just one comment on that, if I may. I mean, and this was only one night, but earlier this week I was on Kane Concourse. Actually went to the gym. But there were no cars parked on Kane Concourse, and there was really nobody in the restaurants, very few people.
That's a shame.
In the restaurants, it is a
Go to
shame,
restaurants,
right?
people.
And I would like to see
Free
more
parking.
people, and I would like to see more people in the restaurants, so perhaps with hotels.
I go, but I walk, because I live here.
But I'm saying, I would, there was really very few people in the restaurants, and there was
But really,
not difficult
Friday,
to park.
Saturday night, not to be argumentative, Bob, but I
I
hear
agree
you,
with you.
but I've also seen it where
Friday,
all
Saturday
of
night
the
is
streets,
different.
all the street parking is taken up, and people may not know where the parking is in the back. I'm just saying that, and I want to appreciate, your efforts to please everyone. You had the whole list. And so there are some things, you just can't please everybody. So, we've talked about the fact that, sure, when I gave up on your restaurant and bar, and I loved the restaurants in the last, about 3-4 years ago when you came, and I spoke as a citizen there, and I said, please, give us a public component. And someone on your staff said right away, well, then we'd have to have even more parking. And I got it. It clicked with me. So, everyone might not realize that here we are asking you to lower the density, to therefore lower the parking, and it's just not possible when at the same time we're asking you for a facility. They're in conflict naturally.
It's not just parking, it's a lot more than that. It's servicing as well. If you have a
Exactly.
full restaurant, then it requires a lot more deliveries.
Sure.
And so, what I'm suggesting is an attempt to find a compromise solution. We didn't choose to keep this restaurant closed. It's not our intention to be exclusive in any way, shape or form. on the one hand, and if we were to open it to walk-ups, it's certainly not our intention to compete with the businesses that are in the town. The intention is just to create something that provides vitality and an economic boost to the town. And if people want to come and have a cappuccino in the property, if you're happy to do it this way, if the Seascape is also happy to agree to this, and I have no guarantee that they are, because, and I will apologise in this forum to Christine for springing this on her tonight. I did mention it to a few of the other residents who I saw tonight, but this is the first she's heard about it, and is probably understandably a little unhappy with me.
Okay, so we're gonna, Ms. Morano.
Thank you.
Sure. Excuse me.
5 minutes later.
Hold on a second. All right, we've had a few times that people have been speaking out of context. Please give everyone the due respect to speak. You have your time, they have theirs, please. All right.
I'm going to go back to 100 rooms. It doesn't sit with me. I'm not pleased with that. There's no way you can spin it to make me happy with 100 rooms. And Mr. Salver mentioned that the town density doesn't change, but that side of the island density is changing. And there's a lot of traffic over on that side, and there's a lot of things going on over on that side. My other problem is this condo hotel. I'm afraid that you're going to come in and later on sell as condos those little hotel rooms, and we're going to end up with 100 condos. You may run it as a hotel, and you may find investors who will buy those little rooms, and then you'll rent them out as hotels, but we'll be stuck with, I'll wait for you. Thank you. No, excuse me, I'm still talking. But we'll be stuck with 100 empty rooms, or if you walk away because the hotel part isn't making enough money for you, you may just walk away and whoever has the condos will just sit there, just like the timeshares. That's my problem with this project, and I hope that nobody else is thinking of doing a project like that on this town.
I'm not sure I understand where these concerns come from with respect. This condo idea has come up as a restriction. We have no intention of selling this as condo. Look at the way that we run our other properties. We are long-term investors, we're cash investors, and we are people who hold our assets for an incredibly long period of time. We don't plan to get out of this. We wouldn't be building this if we weren't in this for the long term, because frankly it wouldn't be economically viable. We're building this because we want to own here, we want to operate here, and we want more hotel rooms in the area. When I say the area, I mean South Florida as a whole rather than Bay Harbor, just to be clear. We want to run hotel rooms here. We are constantly trying to find other projects, not sell them. We don't have other investors, it's only us. You're looking at who you deal with. And in terms of the number of rooms, I'll make the point in what I said earlier. You have to base your decision as to how many rooms is acceptable and how many isn't based on the facts, based on the traffic generation, based on the servicing requirements, based on the size of the building that is created by these 99 rooms. And to just say, I don't like 99 rooms because it's too close to 100, you could pick any number. Why not, let's say, 125 rooms? You know, what difference does it make at that level? You have to base your dislike of the number of rooms on something tenable.
My dislike is on parking, the traffic. It's not baseless.
Okay, I think we've heard enough coverage. Do you have any other? No, I mean, we already cleared with council, so we've...
I just wanted to point out one condition in the ordinance, which I think...
One condition?
Yeah,
we're going to move on.
Condition G, talks about no sale of hotel rooms.
Right.
I mean, I think some of the concerns you were stating, your town attorney has already basically said that can't happen unless we come back to this town council.
Back in again.
But we'd have to go through this whole process again. I mean, it's not like just submitting a letter saying we'd like this. I mean, this ordinance becomes the law for us.
Are there any other comments?
Yeah.
Okay.
I have a question.
Okay.
Sorry. Besides did you ever think about actually going underground, putting all your parking because one of the issues is parking. I mean, I don't know for me, parking and traffic is a huge issue for me.
Yes, we did. And have you seen the problems that the Monarch Hotel have had?
They're not the only ones.
They're not the only ones.
That solution is probably it would probably take over a year to dewater that site to do it. And the slab alone that would have to be put in as a result of it, we cannot estimate how much it would cost because of the nature of the site and what has to be done to put in a tremie slab that will be required, but it's a minimum of $3 million for the slab alone. It is just not viable. We originally proposed to go down deeper than we are and to put mechanical parking in to be able to accommodate all of the parking on site, but the last thing we want to do is come in front of you with another scheme that turns out to be unviable.
No, we understand. Are there any other comments?
Yes, I have to say that I agree with you, Mr. Simmons. I watch a project at 98, 99th Street every day, and I think they had it easier than the Monarch, and, you know, it's too much. I've suggested at previous meetings recently that we do away with the underground parking altogether, so personally, I wouldn't want to encourage that. That's one thing about your project that I'm happy to see that you don't have. And I also like to support what Councilmember Salver said about maybe taking a floor off and reducing the number, again, based on holding the amount of parking. And then lastly, maybe Mr. Miller can clarify this issue of density and how we're going to stay exactly the same, because I seem to remember at the early P&Z meetings, we were somewhere around 2,500 units, and then we've been shuffling around TDRs to a maximum of about 4,000, or maybe Marlene, you can answer. Do you know, who would know where we are now? Because I think eventually we will be going from 2,500 to 4,000.
Good evening. For the record, Mike Miller. You're right, there were about 2,500 units sitting on the ground. We have had a number of demolition permits. I don't know that I can tell you the exact number that have come down in the last 2-3 years. We know that the redevelopment projects, some are moving forward, some are not. About, I would say, half are moving forward right now. Yes, there is a cap on the maximum number that you could ever build in this town. And it's just slightly over 4,000 units. That's the acreage of the town times the density allowance. You know, that was pretty easy math. So there's a space to grow in there, yes.
Right, and it might not be next year, but I think we need to plan for the eventual future and what the maximum could be.
Yeah, I don't know that, you know, you're ever going to get to that number. A lot of people like the small duplex, like the small walk-up. So not every property is going to be redeveloped. You know, there's no way to know that. You know.
How many of those, how many of those units are in the business district?
That's a separate pool. It's not a very large number because the acreage is not very big in the commercial area, but they are entitled to the mixed use also. So the 4,000, to clarify, that is in the residential area, the multifamily residential. There could be some more in the commercial area. We're not seeing that yet. A lot of people build the office buildings up to the max, and they're not doing the mixed use yet, but that could occur. Yeah.
I have a question for Ron. We have a parking trust. How much money do we have in that parking trust?
I have to ask Alan right now. I'm not sure.
Okay, and the reason is, I think that, that if this hotel goes forward, that we have a parking trust, that we have an issue, whether this hotel is there or not. I travel that area extensively over and over, and during the day, it is super difficult sometimes to find parking, that maybe we need to look within our trust. That's what that money's for, to help alleviate on that side some of the traffic issues. You know, we have our own municipal area. Maybe we need to look at it to do something, maybe a 2-story parking, you know, to try to help them alleviate and allow, you know, some relief on that area of the town.
You're talking about on the north side of the King Concourse?
Yeah, we're talking about behind
That's what
City
she's
Hall.
saying.
Right.
That's what I'm,
Behind
yeah, I
City Hall.
just wanted to
Yeah.
make sure.
Yeah, I think that's something, we need to start looking, because we need to, whether this hotel is here or not, we need to alleviate some of the parking issues that are already there. And if this hotel goes forward, we still need to, and that's, I think, what that trust money was for. That's what they pay in, that's what people are paying in. He's willing to pay extra into the trust.
No, there's no problem with that. A lot of the trust money goes to all parking-related things. We're buying new parking meters for King Concourse. We do some resurfacing in the parking lots. It helps with debt service as it is now. Like I said, I'm not sure exactly how much is in there. It's a couple $100,000. One of the things that you're talking about along that back area, that's not really all town property. That is a alleyway that is owned mostly by the buildings on King Concourse. We share some of that space. The space that we do own is in the area behind the Daddio Hotel and the public parking garage, Public Works garage. That's the area that we own.
And those are free parking spaces, by the way.
What about...
Those are free parking spaces.
They're free, they're needed spaces.
And I know that you're looking into some kind of changes to Town Hall, and it was my understanding that that would include, for future planning, right?
Say that again?
Didn't we budget $50,000 for you to look into
Yeah, for
amending
town hall
and-
renovation.
renovations, but that's not also like